Hello, everyone, and welcome to the weekly wrap for November 9th, 2020. My name is Maryann Simson from Apex Media.
And I'm Seth Miller from PaxX.Aero.
Seth, tomorrow is a big day in aviation. It is the day of FlightPlan number 2. This is a broadcast collaboration between global satellite operator and in-flight connectivity provider Inmarsat, and of course my camp, which is APEX, the Airline Passenger Experience Association.
Yeah, it's exciting that we're getting to do it again. We had an episode or edition of this, I guess, back earlier this year, and bringing it back, it's a great opportunity to sort of bring together all sorts of experts and members of the community to talk about what's going on in the industry, what things have, changed in recent months, in longer term periods, and sort of start taking more predictions and making more predictions of what the future is going to look like.
Yeah, this should be really fun. I think we all look forward to things that bring us together these days since we can't meet in person. FlightPlan 2 is going to be a little bit shorter than FlightPlan 1, which was an entire day-long broadcast. So this one will be starting at around 1:30 p.m. UK time, I believe. So early morning time in Eastern time zones. And Seth, I was wondering if there's any parts that you're looking forward to in particular.
Well, I'm part of the event, so everything with me on screen is going to be great. I do think there's some great conversations lined up. We've got a good collection of different people joining the broadcast this time around, and some really, really interesting, some really interesting insight. One of the things I think is going to be super interesting, and I know you are interested in as well, is the Global Passenger Confidence Tracker survey.
Yeah, so Inmarsat has worked to poll a huge number of airline passengers on, different points and how they feel about aviation. So they'll be revealing some of the results of that survey at around 2:30 UK time, which is 9:30 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. And then right after that, there will be a rather large panel of industry experts sort of reacting to that information, which I think will prove to be an interesting conversation because from what I've heard, the survey did turn up some findings that passengers are not feeling as confident as we would like them to about flying still.
Yeah, it's a tough situation.
In addition to that, I'll be having a chat with Robert Carey, who's the Chief Commercial and Customer Officer at EasyJet, which I think is going to be a good one. And I'll also be speaking with APEX Executive Board Member Andres Castaneda, who's CMO and CXO at Aeromexico. So that's going to be a fun couple sessions.
Absolutely. So tune in tomorrow for that. And we'll obviously have some highlights on it for our show next week.
Right. And then just in a little bit further show news, this week we have just launched the agenda. The agenda is live for the FTE APEX Virtual Expo, which we're all looking forward to December 8th and 9th coming up next month. So if you want to see what the full agenda looks like, it's a great one. Just visit www.futuretravelexperience.com/FTE APEX Virtual Expo.
Excellent. Last week, Maryann, we spent a good amount of time talking about the IATA Global Accessibility Summit, or Symposium, and also a little bit about United Airlines updates to its app that are focused on the visually impaired passengers. And so this week, we're continuing that trend. We've got Mary Doyle on the show as our guest. She's an accessible aviation consultant and disability equality trainer, and also an accredited online coach.
That's right. Mary is a lovely and very talented, very accomplished lady. She was named one of Britain's most influential disabled people on the Disability Power 100 list in both 2018 and this year, 2020. She's also a nominee for Positive Role Model in the National Diversity Awards for 2020. So lots of accomplishments under her belt. She's just launched a new aviation training course together with the Queen Elizabeth Foundation here in the UK. And she's here to tell us a little bit more about that now. Hi, Mary. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Maryann. Hi, Seth.
So congratulations on that launch, Mary. Can you tell us exactly what the Disability Equality Training Course for Aviation is and why it really matters?
Thank you so much. This is an online and instructor-led course, which is very interactive. It's full of chat, it's discussions, videos, and very highly topical content. The content is created in line with the UK Disabled People's Movement and also the UN Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. And at its core are the principles of securing equal rights for all disabled people. We recognise that the problem is one of societal discrimination, and we use insight from hundreds of passengers that QEF have interviewed and surveyed regarding their journey by air to help affect our attendees' behaviours and actions. Such courses, they must be designed by disabled people or people with lived experience, and they must be delivered by disabled people, experienced disabled trainers, and are very participatory and action oriented, which makes it a lot more interesting, and it's not a lecture. We are not about making non-disabled people feel guilty or giving any people a hard time. We seek to increase the attendees' understanding of disabled people, our rights, and to comply with accessible aviation laws.
Mary, you're working together with the Queen Elizabeth Foundation to deliver the course. What makes them such the perfect partner for you?
I've been planning this course for many years, based on my own knowledge and experience as a regular traveller, a disabled person, and as an engineering manager in a worldwide corporate. So I approach this as a business problem, and we believe our new course is a part of a business solution for accessible aviation, which meets the needs of our colleagues and is also to support the economic recovery of aviation by creating confident customers. QEF has been at the forefront of accessible aviation for over a decade. My colleagues at QEF, including Graham Race, are just awesome people, and I'm super happy to be working with them. They've already created things like the Meru travel chair, which is a travel seat for children, which goes in the cabin. They already have the Try Before You Fly service for disabled people to trial being in the aircraft cabin before an actual flight. And also they have accredited courses for professionals in aviation.
Can you give us some examples of what the course modules are and who might want to participate?
The online course is divided into 3 modules. Module 1, we define disability, we share the history of disabled people, and we cover equality in aviation legislation. In Module 2, after a virtual in-flight meal, we examine the social model of disability and the barriers that disable people from language, discrimination, and stereotypes. And in Module 3, we discuss the impact of recent global events on disability equality, and we examine the categories of impairment, and then we work through them to give people practice on how to best interact with people at the airport or on board. And after the course, there's a 26 multiple choice questions to test your knowledge, and I can assure you that every student will be ready and will smash that test. So, and it's also suitable for it's suitable for managers and supervisors, people in service planning and service delivery, people who are customer facing, employees who work in aviation and that need to be compliant. It's also suitable for those required to update their knowledge around disability equality in an ever-changing environment. We do assume that the participants do have a operational knowledge.
Great. Sounds like it's good for a lot of people. Mary, what would some of the learning outcomes from taking the course be? And if somebody who took the course wanted to further their education, would they be able to do that as well?
Yes, there is always opportunities to learn more. The learning outcomes for this course are to understand disability from a disabled person's perspective, make you aware of the equality laws and the best practice in aviation in the UK, in Europe and beyond, to know why equality matters in aviation, to recognise the barriers that people experience, and more importantly, the positive behaviours and actions that people can take in removing and preventing these barriers to ensure that all disabled people can live, work and participate in life as equal citizens, which is super important to me. And we also teach you additional customer service skills to totally give you an all-round excellent experience for your customers.
Yeah, congrats again, Mary. It sounds really, really exciting here. What does it mean for you personally?
This has been a goal of mine for a long time as an aviation geek, and to educate people in disability from different perspectives and show them that they have a real power themselves to make a very real difference every day in building a more inclusive world, fills my heart with joy and hope for the future, especially in the current situation where we need it more than ever. Being a disability ally has never been more important. Thank you.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Mary. For those of you watching, you can visit www.qef.org.uk/accessible_aviation/DET. We'll put that on the screen because that's a lot. But that is the link you can go to if you want to learn more about the course, and we hope you will do that.
Indeed. Now, in other news this week, things are getting a little appy. WIZZ Air and AirAsia have both added new services to their mobile apps, and some of it's not necessarily what you might expect an airline to do. The WIZZ side of the equation, we've got WIZZ Ride now, and this is leveraging CarTrawler's API system to add options for car bookings, car hire, rental cars, or sort of on-demand ride services, now native in the app rather than through a different sort of external source.
Yeah, so CarTrawler is an industry leader in sort of integrating basically ride sharing, car hailing services, even ferries, buses, trains, like that sort of external travel element through airline booking platforms. So this is taking it a step further and integrating it into the app and making it so that it can be done on demand as well. So passengers who are flying with WIZZ Air, which is already a very mobile forward airline, so passengers are going to have the app, they may be able to hop off a WIZZ Air flight and say, oh shoot, I haven't booked a ride yet. So rather than closing the WIZZ Air app and going to Uber or another ride app, ideally they'll be able to book that straight through the airline app. So it's keeping that engagement, and it's sort of positioning WIZZ Air as a partner for the entire journey as opposed to just the air travel bit. So I think with this API, it sounds like CarTrawler wants to roll this out with way more airlines. They've got over 100 airline partners, or at least 100 airline partners for sure. So I think we can expect to see this functionality getting integrated into a lot more airline apps going forward with CarTrawler.
Yeah. And, the idea of sort of extending the travel ribbon beyond just the airplane part of the trip is something that a lot of airlines have gotten into in recent years, the sort of digital transformation. AirAsia has been sort of bleeding edge on that effort for a long time now. The AirAsia app, a couple weeks ago, officially declared itself a lifestyle brand rather than an airline, and things like that. But they're still got a decent amount of focus on travel-related services, and the latest with their app development is what they're calling their health platform. And this is sort of a different version of the package tour, if you will. Rather than, booking, for a group of folks to go on holiday for binge drinking or sightseeing or whatever it is, they've now got an option out there to book health services. And so, there's a wide range of options available, whether it's, aesthetics or wellness, general wellness, or even fertility options. AirAsia's got you covered on the app.
Who knew that an airline would be your go-to source for, cosmetic holidays and, fertility services? If you look at the website, they've got a whole page just about the in vitro fertilization and fertility treatments that they've got. So it's quite wild. But like you were saying to me earlier, Seth, it does make sense because a lot of medical procedures are ones that people will travel to other countries for. So why not sort of try to capture that market if they can?
Yeah, and the ability to integrate sort of things from getting the visa application to the flights to the hotel to, going on record and saying we've validated that this provider is reputable. There is a huge opportunity there to sort of provide that trusted advisor type of experience for the consumer. So definitely a good opportunity here, and it is a huge part of the travel market and one that is likely to recover probably a little quicker than just sort of general leisure travel or business travel, certainly.
Interesting. All right, moving along, newcomer flat panel antenna maker NXTCOMM has signed a capacity agreement with Eutelsat on Eutelsat's E117WA satellite, and this is going to provide them some over-the-air testing capacity for their new flat panel antenna.
Yeah, I talked with the company recently and asked about this directly because it's somewhat rare that they would, an antenna manufacturer would buy as much or lease as much capacity as they have. And the gist of it is that right now it's too hard to get everybody into one place to do testing. So the plan is to sort of ship the hardware out and let the potential customers or partners see it for themselves, put it out into service and see just how easy it is to implement. And so they need the capacity for that. There's a little more to it beyond that as well. They're talking about some options with, potentially providing throughput and bandwidth without a middleman service provider. If someone really wanted sort of that naked capacity on their connections. So there's some interesting things at play here beyond just the antenna situation, but it's going to be fun to watch.
Cool. So this particular release is talking about KU band capacity, but they also do allude to doing some KA band testing in the future. I wonder, Seth, when you spoke to NXTCOMM, did they talk about NGSO constellations at all? Low Earth orbit is something, that's been very buzzy lately, and everybody thinks it's going to provide a lot of opportunities in mobility. Is that a sector they're looking at too?
Absolutely, and that's one of the advantages that the electronically steered phased arrays antenna have. With no moving parts, it's sort of instant connection to repoint to a new satellite as it passes overhead, which is a challenge with the LEOs. They move so quickly across the horizon that you got to be able to switch fast to keep your connection online. So NGSOs are definitely a big part of NXTCOMM's plan, switching instantly between GSOs and NGSOs. One of the other nice things about these flat panel antennas is they can actually connect to multiple satellites at the same time. They can be tuned for uplink and downlink differences depending on what the airline customer or other customer might want. A business jet might need more uplink speed versus downlink, whereas a commercial plane might just want downlink for people streaming videos. So there's a lot of options, a lot of opportunities there to tweak things, and they're pretty confident they're going to make it work right.
Cool. Love it. All right. Also in the IFE world, not IFC, but IFE, Inflight Dublin has been chosen by Condor, which is a longstanding client of theirs, to initiate a new trial. Looks like they're going to be using the Inflight Dublin's Everhub system on 3 of their long-haul Boeing 767 aircraft. And one of the things that Condor said about what they love about working with Inflight Dublin is that Inflight Dublin seems to be able to get these trials up and running off the ground very quickly. So they're really pleased with that.
The other interesting thing about this, Maryann, is the Everhub product isn't just the hardware that goes on the planes. It's managed through a sort of cloud-based system so that Condor or any other airline customer can actually control content or advertising or even that duty-free shop we were talking about. They can control it all remotely, and when the plane lands, it links up and says, "Oh, these are the new updates," and it can download the new content and update its system. So it's really a faster and more easily managed solution for the airlines than some of the older traditional IFE platforms. So that's another real nice advantage for the mobile solution.
Easy peasy.
I want to go back to IFC for a second. We had some late breaking news last week. KLM selected Viasat to provide in-flight connectivity on the majority of its European fleet. So that covers the Boeing 737 and Embraer planes flying for them. The Embraers fly under the City Hopper branding, but it's all part of the KLM family. And so that's nice to see. Just really exciting that someone signed an order and confirmed that a deal is happening. That's not something we've seen a lot of in the recent months. And so good to see that sort of situation moving forward.
Yeah, that's great to see, and a great contract for Viasat to win. All right, getting towards the end of the show now. Our final thought for today is that last week airBaltic released a video showing their CEO, Martin Gauss, becoming accredited as a captain on the A220 aircraft family. And they do claim that he is the first airline CEO to be accredited as a captain on this aircraft type.
And he's been type rated as a pilot for almost 40 years throughout his entire career, and has kept his credentials up. So obviously with the airline shifting to only operating a single aircraft type, it makes sense that he would be on the list to go through the training and get that done. And obviously had a little bit of spare time somehow in the midst of all the other challenges over the past few months, and managed to take care of that business.
Yeah, good for him. Very cool story. That's all the time that we have for the weekly wrap today. Thank you, Seth, for joining us.
Always a pleasure, Maryann.
And thank you, everybody, for watching. Please make sure you hit like and subscribe. Share the show with your friends, and you can check out www.apex.aero and paxx.aero for all your aviation news. See you next time.